Well then, without further to do, welcome everyone to Open Up With, where we talk life, well-being, and celebrate the idiosyncrasies that make us human. Today, we are thrilled to have one of my very, very close friends, Dougy Mandagi, join us. Hola, Dougy.
Hola, ¿qué tal?
Bien, ¿y tú?
Why are we speaking Spanish?
I don't know. I just like,
Not
I
Italian.
forget about it.
Hey, forget about it.
Forget about it. Unfortunately, being British, I can't forget about it, and I'm going to be scarred for the rest of my life from the proceedings of last night.
It's only been 17 hours or something like that, so.
It's okay. You know, I mean, it's, I don't want to say it's just football, because obviously to so many people, football is life, but you know, we all went on a journey the past 12 months, and it had to end with one winner. And it just so happens that was Chiellini and his array of friends. Anyway, no football talk today. We're here to talk well-being, life, and idiosyncrasies. Right. But thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me, man. Yeah, I'm excited. Stoked. Woo!
Thank you. So before we jump straight in, I like to start these things by asking people how they're doing, what's been happening, what's going on with you.
I'm doing good. Thanks for asking. What's been going on? Just chilling out in Berlin, where I live, enjoying the summer, trying to work in between as well, write music. I have a few collaborations with different artists here. And yeah, just kind of enjoying the summer, man. Yeah.
Good on you, man. I mean, we had a pretty fun weekend last weekend in Paris, catching up.
Like I said, my heart was full of love. My liver was full of hate. Oh no, you're like Mr. Wellbeing. So you were just on the smashing the waters, man. You were all right. You were just glowing every day we saw you.
I know. I mean, it's not always been that way. I think out of all of my friends, you're one of the people who's probably seen me in some of my most
you've had your fair
my most interesting states throughout life. But you know, we won't go too much. But look, everyone has a past, and that's in the past. You know, if you keep on looking back, you'll get hurt. You'll hurt your neck. So let's look forwards. But man, honestly, like, I mean, I feel the same. You know, seeing you after what has been. I mean, I can't even remember how long it's been. It was probably about three years, maybe, since we last saw each other. 2.5.
Yeah, 2.5, 3 years. Yeah, crazy.
Yeah, but I mean, with you,
we used to hang out together, just like all the fucking time. Am I allowed to swear on your podcast? I don't.
Of course you can. Yeah, you can. You know, it's
good for my well-being. You see, so
exactly.
It's aggression now.
Yeah. It's kind of like it's a mix between Joe Rogan and Wayne's World meets wellness. So you know, it's kind of, we can say whatever curse words we want. I say more words like crikey and things like that, and core blimey, governor. That's more my catchphrases, but you can go to town. But man, honestly, like every time that I see you and every time that I leave you, my heart is always filled with such love and admiration, and you know, truly, honestly, man, like it's so inspiring being your friend and being in your presence. It's always been something that's just filled me with so much goodness. It's true. You know?
The feeling is mutual. I was well inspired after hanging out with you and hearing about your adventures and what you're up to and your business ideas and so on and so forth. I was fully charged up and inspired. So
thanks, brother.
Right back at you, my friend.
Thank you. Well, listen, we could spend the next 45 minutes just throwing compliments at each other, but I'm going to ask you a couple of questions as well. Yeah. Unless we want to go with the compliments, I don't mind. But before we jump into the questions, I want you to just tell me a little bit about yourself for those of you that don't know you. Give us a little brief introduction.
Well, my name is Dougy. I am originally from Bali, Indonesia, via Australia, and I'm currently living in Berlin. I'm a musician. I have a band called The Temper Trap, and I'm also pursuing at the moment a solo project, which is more in the electronic genre. And you and I met in London a long, long time ago, and that's where we became friends. And here we are now.
Here we are now, many
We are,
moons ago, and lots of things, lots of good times, lots
yeah.
of good times in between. So you mentioned there that originally from Indo and obviously via Australia, and
Yeah.
obviously, you know, being in the industry, in the music industry for a while now. I mean, I'm not sure how many years it's been, but it's definitely been a few.
Mm.
I want to hear a little bit more about your upbringing in both of those places, because I've never actually been to Indonesia or Bali, but you know, a lot of my friends come from there. It's a place that I can't wait to visit, and can't wait to come and visit you, hopefully later on in the year or next year. And I wanted to find out how some of those places molded your journey into music, where you drew your inspirations from, and what that journey and process was like.
Mm. Well, yeah, I grew up in Indonesia. And I moved around the archipelago. I didn't just grow up in Bali. I moved around. I have family kind of spread out everywhere. But, anyways, I come from quite a musical family. Not in a professional sense. I'm probably the only one in my family that is, you know, doing music professionally. But music was always around. Like my dad was a shredder on guitar. My uncles were. My aunt was she was the organ player in the church, and my uncle was the choir conductor, and you know, so that was kind of the household that I grew up in. Music was always around, whether we're singing like church hymns or we're listening to whatever, you know. Um, and and so I guess maybe when I was 13 or 14 was when when music really sort of started really perking my interest. Before that, I my dream in life was to be an illustrator for Disney, because I was obsessed with cartoons growing up. And so I started drawing from a really young age. And you know, just like anything in life, you know, if you put a lot of hours into something, you get quite good at it. And I got quite good at drawing. I've probably lost it all now, but yeah, that was kind of what I wanted to be, what I wanted to do. But I guess, you know, the universe had other plans for me, and I'm playing music now. But yeah, in a nutshell, yeah.
Incredible. I never knew that about the aspirations to be a Disney drawer.
Yeah, I wanted to be an illustrator. Yeah, just wanted to draw cartoons. Yeah.
That's wild.
Yeah.
I feel like there's something here that we need to unpack for
Oh
the
yeah.
next
Do it.
chapter of Dougie's
Okay.
life. I want to get a cartoon of maybe myself. I don't know. Is that narcissistic?
Narcissistic.
Maybe. Yeah, maybe. I don't know. Maybe that's just me. You know, I've got to
Healthy
take that.
It's always good to be a little bit narcissistic. You got to love yourself. How can you love other people if you don't love yourself?
Exactly, Dougie.
Boom.
Exactly. Game changer right there. Drop the mic. This is the summer of self-love.
Prepare for this podcast, bro.
See, we're already changing the world one question at a time. Man, that's well, yeah, that's incredible actually. I mean, thank you for sharing that journey. And that's something that's always kind of I felt about you ever since we did first meet. And I guess that time that we met some really interesting characters in London as well. Actually, there was a lot of spirit around the people that we were hanging around with. Not, and I don't mean that in terms of kind of like just charisma, but spirit in terms of soul, in terms of, and I don't want to say like a religious context, even though that some of our friends were heavily into kind of Hillsong and all of those kind of things, but it was beautiful. And I've always found that such again, part of the things that has attracted me to people like you and to some of our other mutual friends as well, that there's this core sense of something more, let's say, do you know what I mean? Whatever that is, you know, and a respect for that, which I think is so beautiful. And I mean, again, you know, we've had some very deep conversations surrounding that. And I'm a firm believer that music has the power to heal or awake a part of the spirit. And I was wondering if there was been one pivotal moment that you can place a song to and tell us a little bit about the impact that it's had on you.
Yeah, I mean, that's a really tough question because one song, I mean, I guess one song that I would say really kind of contributed to me sort of changing the course of my life, unbeknownst to me, when I was just a 13, 14-year-old kid listening to Weezer, Say It Ain't So. I was still, I was just a kid. I was still developing my musical palette, I guess, my musical taste. I didn't have the musical vocabulary or knowledge of anything really, appreciation for maybe lyrics or arrangement or sounds or anything like that. It was music was just something. It either made the hair on the back of my neck stand or it didn't. It was so visceral, and I guess that song and just I don't know if you remember that song, but just kind of like,
so I will not go, turn the lights off, carry me on now.
and that's why we're friends, folks, because on a musical level we just get each other so much. We just get each other. Yeah, but there's something about the dynamics of the verse, how it's almost like this lullaby, dumb lullaby, and then that guitar comes in and it's so visceral and it just makes it's all about gut and feeling. And I guess things like that or songs like that made me go, fuck yeah, man, that's what I want to do. That's what I want to do. And I guess that's, yeah, you can nowadays, maybe I intellectualize music a little too much and it's kind of become a hindrance to my creativity. But really it's that, it's when you tap into that visceral thing, that kind of energy that is contained, that's the real power in music. And yeah, in my old age, it feels like I'm always trying to chase that initial feeling again.
Yeah.
It's difficult because my mind and my creativity process is so cluttered with stuff now.
Of course.
Yeah, that you lose it. But yeah, I guess that's kind of a pivotal moment. One of the pivotal moments that made me go, wow, this is, I don't know it. I don't understand this, but I feel it and I want to be part of it. This is what I want to do, Yeah.
For sure, man. I mean, that's awesome. I mean, yeah, I mean, it sounds obvious, but I mean, music really does have that power, right? And it can inspire us so much. And I always feel with music that we almost tap in a little bit to that kind of, like for instance, with nature, I see God in nature, right? And I think the same could be said about music in a certain way. There's certain songs, certain moments throughout your life that kind of awaken this sense of spirit and of deity. And I wonder if what you're saying as well is kind of like, because we look at it maybe through an innocence, especially when we're younger. Do you know what I mean? When we're kind of in that first formative moments, when we don't have all the other kind of confounding things going through, we're in this kind of state of, I don't know, newness and awareness, and it's kind of cut straight to the point. Never thought of it, but that's super interesting. So do you find that you said that as you get older, you found it slightly more, you have to find ways to kind of like scratch through the cloud to find what you're looking for?
Yeah, definitely. You really have to just kind of feel your way through the muck and the mire. It's kind of, and especially now that I do it for, there's more at stake. When I was just a 14-year-old practicing Weezer's Nirvana songs with my cousin and the neighborhood friends, we're just, you know what I mean? We're just kind of, you're just living in the moment, doing what feels good. Now there's more at stake. deadlines, there's people depending on you, there's like, you know, record labels on your case, this and that, all that kind of contributes to clouding up the process of creativity, you know. And so the process of songwriting and creativity then turns into this like internal battle. You really have to first silence all the external crap so you can really get to the core of, so I can find my 14-year-old self again, you know, playing Weezer songs. Like that's where I tap into the magic.
Exactly.
But yeah.
Is there a way in, have you found over this process that, have you found a formula for that? I mean, I guess if you'd found a formula for that, it would be a game changer, but like is it meditation? Is it surfing? Have you found things that as you've got older that you can kind of use to try to help you clear out some of that fog?
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure there are different methods. I've recently just had a friend of mine come over to the house to help me, because I feel like I've been really hitting, you know, a wall with my writing, particularly my lyrics writing, you know. It's never really been my strong point, to be completely honest with you. So I had this guy come over. He's a writer, and he's, you know, kind of coaching me through and giving me tips. And one of the things he said was, which was interesting, I never thought about it, was when you open up your notepad and you take your pen and you put pen to paper, don't approach it like I'm going to work.
Yeah.
Because, you know, again, my 14-year-old self playing Weezer songs, I couldn't wait to you know, strap on a guitar and to just like scream at the top of my lungs, you know. There was nothing at stake, so I never approached it like work. Whereas now this is my job, and it's that when you approach it like work, that is attached with expectations, and that's where the dread comes, you know. And it's like, I would rather be anywhere else doing anything else than writing, because what if I don't write something good, or blah blah blah, and then it just turns into this kind of cycle of self-doubt, you know, which kills the process before it even starts. So you said, don't think of it, don't put so much pressure to it, just write, just don't judge it, don't judge what you're writing. You can always go back to what you're writing and go, no, this is shit, this is good, keep. But in that moment, when you're first starting out, just let yourself be, you know.
Totally.
And that's, I've been applying that, and that's really helped me out a lot recently.
I mean, I guess that's kind of, again, like, you know, it's like a lot of things in life, right? You know, in meditation, you know, kind of observe the thoughts, let them come, let them go, you know, be present, you know, try to be, you know, be your authentic self. You know, I mean, it's obviously a hell of a lot easier said than done, you know. And I think that as artists, that's something that we all find, you know. But I mean, in terms of like creatively speaking, you know, again, just gonna go down onto the compliment train. Compliment. You know, you are shower.
Lay it on.
Yeah. I mean, you know, I've told you this many times as well. You know, I've always admired you so much creatively, and before we even met, I was a fan. You know, which when you meet someone that you've seen growing up, and the songs have become a kind of playlist to your life, like it's quite a surreal moment. When you were going through the creative process of, you know, let's say for instance your first album, and with kind of things like, you know, Love Lost and Sweet Disposition, did you have any of those moments where, you know, you felt like you were tapping into something? Because I mean, they are such anthems as well. Was there a moment where when you were writing that, you kind of felt like 14-year-old you was like, this is my Weezer moment? Or was it kind of like just a very natural thing?
Yeah. So the thing with tapping into, tapping into something
Yeah.
is, for me, I don't know about other people's, processes, but for me, oftentimes it doesn't feel like you're tapping into anything.
Yeah.
It just feels so natural. It feels effortless. It feels easy. It
Mm.
feels like you're always, you've, this is what you've always been meant to do.
Mm.
Like, when you have to really work hard for it and really wrestle with the process, there's a clear difference between that and sometimes amazing outcome can, you can yield amazing outcome from that process. But things like sweet disposition, it just kind of came about. It was so effortless.
Mm.
It wasn't like I felt or knew in my heart, or I wasn't telling myself this is gonna be huge. This is so, I wasn't. It was just something that just kind of happened so naturally. And oftentimes it's those songs that people really connect with.
Yeah.
And it's the ones that you kind of overthink, you overanalyze, you judge, a little too much. It's a little overcooked, those are the ones that kind of just sort of fall by the wayside. So yeah, I mean, I don't know if that answers your question, but
I mean, for sure. I mean, I think I think it does. And I mean, the thing with some of those anthems, I think as well, it's like we were speaking earlier about those, songs or something like that that symbolizes a part in your life. I think that, some of the songs that you've written in the past really do symbolize that for a lot of people out there. And so I think this is a good moment of summer of self-love. To give yourself a hug, buddy. Give yourself a pat on the back. I'm so proud of you. I can tell you that much. You've really created a lot of special memories. And talking to some of those special memories is one of the things that I've always been surprised at by you is whenever I've come to see you play is just how calm and, I mean, obviously, it's your profession, so I know you're in the headspace for it, but I always get astounded that like how people can just go onto stage in front of these huge crowds and it doesn't seem like it phases them. Like for me, I would be, I would like to think of myself as a relatively okay public speaker and kind of like a little bit of a jester in certain situations, but put me in front of 20,000 people and I think that I would freak out. But I wondered if you've kind of like perfected a technique or a routine that helps settle some of those pre-show jitters. And if you have you found that it's been applicable to other moments in your life?
Yeah. Yeah, it's a funny thing. I find that, having spoken to many other artists that perform on stage, do the same thing that I do, and, read accounts of other people, I guess it's not applicable to everyone. Strangely for me, the moments leading up to the show, to the gig, before I'm actually in front of shitloads of people, they're the most nerve-wracking moments. The moments of waiting where you're like thinking about, oh, what if this happens, and what if that happens, and you know what I mean? Like, oh, last show the guitar didn't work, and you know what I mean? Like you start,
Yeah.
They're the most nerve-wracking. That's the most nerve-wracking part of the whole thing. As soon as I get on stage, it's like I'm home. It's kind of like, I guess, having, I don't know, like if you're an adult and then for some reason, and then you go back home to visit mom and dad back in the house that you grew up in, you kind of instantly feel like, you know what I mean? Like you just like all this weight off your shoulder or something. You feel like, there's no place like home, really, is a cliche, but I guess that's how I feel when I'm on stage. I feel safe, I feel secure, I feel confident, I feel nurtured, and all the other stuff that I have to do, like interviews and meet and greets and blah blah, all that stuff. That stuff makes me feel uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Yeah, everything leading up to that moment when I'm on stage and I know that this is what I'm meant to do makes me feel uncomfortable. But I think it all comes from me personally. I think it's just confidence, and I guess confidence comes from, you know, hours and hours of honing your skill, whatever that is. If you
Mhm.
believe in your skill, you believe in yourself, then you can tell yourself like, I got this. You know what I mean? Like, doesn't matter. You play to 20 people, you play to 20,000 people. You believe in yourself, like, you know, you're good. You're good. You know. And maybe that's it. Maybe I'm just confident in what I do.
Amazing. Well, I mean, I guess, you know, I mean, you've had the practice, you've had the experience, and it's like you said, it feels natural, it feels good. Do you feel that
Yeah.
when you're on stage, you tap into that? Again, I'm really interested about this kind of like 14-year-old self, you know, because I think that there's a part of us who, you know, it's that kind of like Peter Pan-esque thing. Do you know what I mean? Like that pure essence of who we are deep
Yeah.
down. And I think that containing and always nurturing that inner child is so important, because I think that kind of leads us more towards the light. Whereas when people don't and they nurture the other side, it can sometimes lead more towards a darkness. You know what I mean? So, I mean, there's obviously a healthy balance in there somewhere as well. But do you feel like you kind of like, it's like a playground for you? Do you feel like when you're on stage, you can just completely let go and be yourself?
Yeah. I mean, listen, not all the time, but
Yeah.
yes. And you know, I mean, I'm sure you're familiar, and people watching this will be familiar with the whole flow state thing. You know, and yeah, it's so there's that moment where, you know, I get on stage and, like I said, I feel really comfortable, I feel at home. But more often than not, even within that context, I'm still kind of, you know, I'm still trying to remember lyrics, and then I've got like way too many you know, pedals for my level of skill in guitar playing anyways. But it looks good, so so I'm trying to remember like which pedal you know what I mean? Like, it can be
Yeah.
this brain gymnastics almost.
Mhm.
There are moments where all of that just fucking disappears, and you are just in that flow state. And I guess that's when you kind of tap into your 14-year-old self. That's when you tap into this other thing out there, this other energy. You know what I mean? That it that doesn't come often. And you know, maybe it's good that it doesn't, you know, because it wouldn't be as special maybe. I don't know about other people, but definitely for me, that those moments are very far and few.
Yeah.
But when you're hitting that stride, man, it's like it's such a drug. It's like,
Unreal.
yeah.
I mean, it's funny. So I once spoke to Rio Ferdinand, an English
Oh, yeah.
defender, and I had a little chat with him, and I went, Rio, you know, like, man, what was it like, kind of like walking out into the theatre of dreams in Old Trafford, you know, like, you know, when you've got like 65,000 fans around you. And he said exactly what you just said. He was like, honestly, mate, it's a drug. It's something that you can't explain. And, you know, do you get nervous? Not really. You hear what everyone's saying, you can hear the chants, you can hear that, but it's what you've trained for, it's what you've mastered, it's what you've been practicing for. You know what I mean? So it's just part of it. And so I guess that's kind of a similar sense
Definitely, yeah.
to what you're saying as well.
Mm,
So speaking of feeling at home,
mm,
Bali, you're
mm.
making you're making the move back. A
Back,
total change.
yeah,
What's
totally.
yeah, what's brought it on? I know we've spoken about surfing and how important that's kind of become to you. But yeah, what are you thinking now? What's the moment, or what's been the change in circumstances that you feel like now is the moment to head back and base yourself there?
Um, to be honest with you, like I could probably stick it out in Berlin for another year or so. But you know, Paulina, my partner Paulina, she's really ready for the move, and so yeah, I'm happy to go to Bali. I'm gonna miss Europe a lot. I'm gonna miss Berlin a lot, but yeah, it's funny because when I am in Bali and I'm just, you know, whatever, I'm just chilling, having food or riding around my scooter or I'm out surfing, you know, it really does feel like home, you know. I just feel like I just belong there. And I definitely have moments of feeling like that here in Berlin as well. You know, I've been here for 5 years. So I don't know if for me personally, I don't know if now is the time, you know, but now is a good a time as any, I suppose, you know.
Totally.
So yeah, you know, I've been here for 5 years, man. I'm not from here. There's really nothing to tie me down. So why not, you know? Why not go to Bali? I guess a big reason is I'll be closer to my mom, and obviously, you know, taking recent events into consideration, and the pandemic and this and that. It kind of sounds like a cliche, I guess, but I'm sure a lot of people feel this way. You kind of, you know, you're forced to really think about what's really important. And you know, my mom's not getting any younger, obviously, and yeah, I want to be closer to her. You know, I think it'll just put her mind more at ease and put my mind more at ease. If anything should happen, God forbid, I'm not like, you know, halfway across the world, that kind of thing. So yeah, that's also a big factor, I guess, in why I want to move.
For sure, man. I mean, I think I definitely don't think you're alone in that, and I think that, like, I mean, I don't think it's a cliche at all. I think that, you know, recent events have acted as like an awakening experience for a lot of people, where a lot of people have reevaluated what's important to them in terms of, you know, we've obviously seen a huge increase in the importance on health and well-being and opening up and talking about things, you know, nature, which has also been a huge thing for a lot of people. And I think that, you know, I mean, as we spoke about recently in Paris, you know, I think it's an incredible move, and I'm so happy that you've made that decision. I think it's a great place to go and base yourself in. And I mean, you've always been a very active person, from kind of like Muay Thai to kind of, you know, doing a little bit of the UFC fighting kind of stylism, or the, you know, the surfing and all of those kind of things. You know, you're an active guy, Dougie. You know, we can't hold you back. You need to spread the wings. You need to fly. You're a bird, Dougie. You're a bird.
Yeah, I like physical activity a lot, and I find that with you know, I don't know. I guess Bali just really promotes that sort of lifestyle. You know, you're out there in the crack of dawn in the water, surfing, paddling away. You may not catch any wave, but you've just been out there. You've been paddling. You've been moving your body. You've been one with nature. You've had time to meditate. You bump into some friends that are out there in the lineup. You have a little bit of a, you know what I mean, like a bit of a morning chat, and it's just the best way to start your day. You feel indestructible after that, you know?
Yeah.
And so yeah, that's a big part of the allure to surfing and to physical activity, you know. It just makes you feel, I don't know, it just makes you feel good, and and it's become more and more, I guess, a necessity in my old age. I'm sad to say, but I'm not a young buck anymore, and I may get, you know, aches and pains from, you know, maybe overexerting myself, you know, doing sports and this and that. But to be honest with you, man, the pain I get from not doing anything, from just like lying on the couch and just watching YouTube and, you know what I mean, and just eating shit is worse than, you know, the aches and pains I might get from whatever sport I'm doing. So yeah.
100%. And I think you've always been really good at that. You've always been really good at balancing out kind of, you know, the city lifestyle, finding balance, whether it's with, you know, kind of like mindful eating, exercise. Like there's been a lot that I've taken from you over the years and learned from in the different things that you're incorporating into your life. And I think that Bali seems to be the perfect moment right now to then fully embrace that, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, there's nothing better, you know, from living in the jungle in Tulum for 2 years. I totally get it. You know,
It's funny because here, kind of like when I exercise because you know, I'm telling myself like, oh, you had a big weekend, you know, you should exercise on Monday and this and that. Whereas in Bali, I don't even think about it. I just do it.
yeah,
I'm just physically active. I'm not
yeah,
like trying to compensate for like a big weekend of drinking. You know what I mean? Like it's just part of your life. And I really like that because I'm not the most disciplined of, you know, people
yeah,
in the best of times. And so if I can do exercise without having to be disciplined about it, then yeah, bring it on. You know what I mean?
yeah. I mean, for sure. I mean, and you know, it's something that I've always struggled with, which is again why I love being immersed in nature, because it really does. It's a game changer, and I think that it's so important for us to kind of be mindful of that, you know. And I think it's yeah, it's very very good. Dougie, you know, you've always been a mentor to me, and I want to firstly say thank you for that. You know, you've always been there to kind of help me guide my decisions, and no, you have, man. You've always been a big brother to me, and I really appreciate it. I really appreciate you coming on doing this for me as well. And you know, I'm so excited for our next chapter. You know, one of the things that when you were saying about Bali just then as well, that hit me as well, is that I find in the cities, people always say how life moves a million miles a minute, and you know how life's short and everything like that. But I think that when you're again in those moments, like you just mentioned, life can be long. It can be beautiful. You know what I mean? Because you kind of really embrace all of these millions of nanoseconds into your day. You know, and it's something that, again, not to bring it back to our relationship, but I've always tried to do when I'm around people like you, is to just try to really appreciate the moments that I have with those kind of people, you know. And last weekend in Paris was symbolic, of that. To wrap this up, I was hoping that we've already spoke about Weezer, big fan of Weezer, you know, but every time I do speak to a musician, I really do love to find out a couple of tracks so I can kind of put them on the Instagram and on our Spotify playlist and all of those things. So is there another couple of tracks, maybe 2 or 3, that have also had a big impact on your life musically and personally? And not just ones that you kind of like are defining moments of your life, but those tracks that maybe are the artist or the song that you unwind to, or you relax to, or something that you put on in the morning to get you in a good mood, you know? I don't know if you're a YouTube beautiful day kind of guy. I don't know, you know?
Well, who isn't a beautiful day kind of guy?
Exactly.
Yeah, do you know there's this duo from, I guess, the 50s, I think, called Johnny and Santos, and they have this song called Sleepwalk. It's just it's just an instrumental lap steel guitar, I think, and yeah, or one of those Hawaiian guitars that you sit on your lap and you kind of, it's really hypnotic. And the first time I heard this song was the first time I tried DMT.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I you know, and then later on someone told me like, yeah, you know, DMT is this kind of this molecule, or this thing that the body naturally has, and which it kind of gives out. I don't know if this is true, this is scientifically true, but I've heard this from the moment that someone is born and the moment just before they pass on. And so I had this kind of crazy experience with DMT one time in LA, and it was to this song, because we were all taking turns and we all played a song while we were, tripping.
Yeah.
And so yeah, this song really is just synonymous, I guess, with kind of that. I don't know, that the other side,
Incredible.
if you will. Yeah. And what's another song? I really like Suzanne, Leonard Cohen.
Beautiful.
I think maybe one of the first songs that really kind of opened my eyes to just beautiful lyric writing and the importance of words and music, and how, musically something can be quite linear or monotonous or not have all these crazy hooks to keep you in, but you can use words, as hook, and yeah, I guess those two songs. I mean, I don't know, it's a hard question, man. There's so many.
Sure, of course. But I mean, that's great. I mean, they've all just made the playlist. I mean, I take a sip of mushroom tea and I kind of have a wig out. So let alone.
Yeah. Johnny and Santos, Sleepwalk.
Yeah, I'll try. Yeah, I'll try that, and I probably should stop listening to Cher in the morning as well. But yeah, that's no, I love Cher. Cher for life. But but yeah, bro. No, I think that's amazing actually, and I think you're right about the DMT. I think that I haven't got like the kind of the scientific articles in front of me, but from my understanding, that is what I've heard as well. And obviously, a lot of people I know have had really incredibly profound journeys on ayahuasca as well, as well as peyote. But as I said,
have you tried it?
I mean,
right amongst it in Tulum, man.
I mean, I was, and I mean, I wanted to, because ayahuasca is the mother drug and it's supposed to be very kind of loving, and whereas DMT, I think, is a little bit more of like the adolescence. It's kind of like it's a one-stop shop to
that's definitely what happened
to the light, Whereas ayahuasca is a bit more of a purge. It's a bit more of a kind of it's a journey. Peyote is the father, so it kind of like slaps you around a little bit. But I don't know if I'm ready to be quite honest with you. Like, I think that I'm still shedding insecurities and demons on a regular basis, and learning to live with them and love them. That anytime that I've touched things like mushrooms, for instance, I've gone into a whole kind of just in a corner, just hugging myself. But maybe I also haven't done them.
Okay. So it doesn't
have them around the right people.
It doesn't have a good effect on you then?
I don't think so. But again, I think that anything like that, any drugs or any kind of, any stimulant that kind of takes you out of control of yourself is only it should only be done when you're around the right kind of people. Do you know what I mean? Because when you're around the right kind of people lift you up and they kind of make you feel the best version of yourself anyway.
Yeah.
But anyway, kids, don't do drugs. That's
unless they're free, then do as much as you can.
Anyway, Dougie, listen, this has been wonderful, and thank you so much for taking the time to do this. And
thank you.
Yeah, it's been a wonderful conversation on a lot of different things. And yeah, once again, I feel very blessed to have you in my life. I feel very blessed to have Polina in my life, and I love you both very much, and I wish you the best of luck. And
stay there.
Drum roll.
Lest we forget.
Oh, that's the picture. I love it. Oh, so cute.
Lest we forget. Come a long way, Sammy boy.
I see what you mean. I love it,
my friend.
Bless you. Well, listen, let's stay in touch, and I might see you in August.
Yeah, let's make it happen, brother.
Okay, brother. Peace.
Love you, man.
Love you too. Ciao.